Welcome to the conference. This is AMI Inside.
CNIB's efforts are dedicated to improving the lives of those impacted by sight loss.
Angela Bonfanti is Vice President of the CNIB Foundation for Ontario and Quebec.
We're transforming our communities into beacons of accessibility and inclusion where people can live, work, and play without barriers.
This year, the Ontario Science Centre hosted the organization's annual conference. AMI audio host Kelly McDonald is a frequent attendee.
I love the big two-day conference. There are so many great presenters. The information and knowledge of these people is phenomenal. And something like this conference allows you to jot a name down, grab a business card, whatever it might be, reach out to them on Twitter. It gives you resources.
The CNIB Braille Conference has been a staple for over 40 years.
I'm Darlene Bogart, and I'm a volunteer with the CNIB and have been for over 50 years. I actually started the first Braille Conference. Well, I really am proud of how this conference has grown. It's, instead of it being a regional conference, it's available to anybody in the country, and it's become a conference that brings everybody together who works in the field, sighted, blind, visually impaired. So it crosses all the disciplines and still focuses on Braille.
Over the last few years, technology, which seemed to be the enemy of Braille, because so many of us were using it to listen to audiobooks, listen to screen readers.
Well, really, technology has just been the most marvelous thing that's happened to Braille.
Many people in the low vision blind community learn better from it being at their fingertips.
That's their medium of reading, just like it is for those of us who are print readers. We don't necessarily want to hear somebody reading it to us. Somebody can have a smartphone, like an Apple iPhone, and a little Braille display, and go out to the restaurant of their choosing, take a picture of the menu, push the button to translate, and read the menu on their Braille display.
Somebody showed me one the other day that is affordable, that is efficient. That made me think, maybe I could utilize this for my work and play and get back to doing a little more Braille reading.
Technology has made information available like right now, just like it is for sighted people. It's brought people who are Braille readers into the world.
During her welcome address, Bonfanti gave an update on CNIB's new strategic plan.
To increase participation in the world of work, we're creating internships for people with sight loss looking to get their feet wet in the working world after graduating school. We've launched an excellent entrepreneurship program because we know people with disabilities are talented and have a skill where they can multitask and get through obstacles that are ahead of them. And that usually has the makings for a pretty good business savvy person. At the same time, we are connecting people with sight loss to real jobs that have been offered by some of Canada's largest companies through our Come to Work program. We have companies like Rogers, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and the list goes on that have come forward to provide employment opportunities to our talent pool. Listen to those words very carefully. Talent pool. We're not talking about people who are blind or partially sighted. And we're being very, very conscious of those words.
Bonfanti outlined a CNIB initiative called Phone It Forward.
This is a program where we'd like individuals and corporations to donate their used smartphones. They get a tax receipt for the value of their smartphones. We receive those smartphones, have them wiped by a military-grade wipe system, and have them refurbished and sent to those who want to use those phones from the community. And we all know what a game-changer technology can be, especially when it's coupled with key skills like Braille literacy. The smartphone is not the answer to everything, but it sure helps a heck of a lot when you're comfortable in your O&M and you've got aspirations to go above and beyond where you are today. We're also creating community hubs. These hubs are innovative, accessible spaces, open evenings and weekends, so that we can capture everyone, whether they're working age or not, so that people can come together to try the latest technologies, learn new skills, refine existing skills, and most importantly, have fun. Many of you who are in Toronto, you should pop over to Yonge and St. Clair and see ours there. The feeling you have when you're in that place is about community, and people are laughing and using technology, and sometimes we have serious moments where there's a tear or two, but we've got people jamming to music, making Braille books. We now have 5 that have popped up across Ontario and Quebec, and we just had 1 a year ago in June.
A key area of focus during the conference was employment.
My name is Tina Starkar-Thompson. I am the HR manager at CNIB. Did you know that approximately 70% of working age blind and partially sighted Canadians are unemployed or underemployed? This is a shocking statistic compared to the general population, where the unemployment rate is approximately 30%. Employers say that they don't hire them because they don't have the experience. But then how do you get the experience if no one will hire you? It's a vicious circle. So enter our internship-returnship program. Together, CNIB and Deloitte, along with some of our other partners, are really smashing employment barriers with our innovative internship and returnship program. Traditional internships are designed for people that are transitioning from school into the world of work. But again, what about those people that have had some work experience and for whatever reason have been out of the workforce for a little while and are now looking to re-enter the workforce? These people have a lot of talent to bring and a lot of experience to bring to the table. And this is a huge untapped market. So our returnship program is an internship program for people with that experience. There is no criteria or limit in terms of your age or your work experience. Our program has provided job seekers with hands-on practical experience that can be taken with them into future employers.
Carol Mendonca is the manager of inclusion at Deloitte.
Deloitte has partnered with the CNIB to hire 2 partially sighted recruiters within our HR practice at Deloitte. And as a firm, we strive to be the most inclusive firm in Canada. And that really starts with investing in our people. So when we talk about being an inclusive firm, in order to be a truly diverse and inclusive organization, you have to put disability on the agenda. So when hiring people with disabilities, it's important for us, as well as everyone else, to focus on abilities rather than disabilities. So when the CNIB approached Deloitte to participate in the Come to Work internship-returnship program, we decided to take a slightly different approach. So our theory is that blind and partially sighted recruiters will bring a entirely fresh perspective on the hiring process, whereas they're not hampered down by the same unconscious bias that fully sighted people have. So we're really excited about this project, not just because we've hired 2 people with disabilities, but because we really think and believe it will make us a better business. We've had opportunities for improvement in areas such as technology, infrastructure, and workplace accommodations, and this is actually thanks to our interns. They've helped us identify the gaps within our organization and really are helping us and continue to help us become a more inclusive company. So when we talk about the investment on interns, this is also an investment on Deloitte as a company itself. And we're very excited to see what we learn next.
When we were first talking about with Deloitte in terms of a potential internship-returnship program, we were talking about sort of what area. Recruitment seemed like a really good fit because that role touches so many parts of the organization, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, the team saying that it's a really good way for people to build awareness. Like, hey, if there's someone in recruitment that is blind or partially sighted, and they're seeing them do a role that they've seen other people do, like, might open up their thinking too. People ask, what is it about employers? Like, why do employers not want to hire people that are blind or partially sighted? Why don't they want to hire people with disabilities? And I think a big piece of that is just the unknown, right? And so we really have strived, CNIB, to really go in there and say, look, let's have a candid conversation. We're not, we're not recording anything. We're not be honest. What are your fears? And that's what we heard. Well, we don't know. What if there's a challenge with this employee because, it's a performance management issue? How do I discipline them because, then I'll end up with a human rights violation? I'm like, no, you manage your employees the same way you would manage any other employees. And I think now that we have started to to socialize sort of, at least in Toronto, like employers, like socialize them. We're getting there. We're reaching out. Short of driving vehicles, there's so many jobs that people that are blind or partially sighted can do. And I think somebody asked that question in Mahadeo's session earlier today. Well, what are the jobs that people do? And people ask me that, I'm blind, what job can I do? I'm like, what do you want to do? It's not about what I'm not going to tell you what you can do. You tell me, what is it that, you tell me what you can do, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it's about.
Coming up next on AMI Inside.
It's a way to consume digital content on a device that doesn't require a touchscreen.
AMI Inside will return. This is AMI Inside.
A popular attraction at the conference was the exhibit hall. Attendees connected with vendors and tested out a wide range of assistive technology.
We heard for a long time that the ability for a user to master a touchscreen or to work with different devices has been very challenging.
Peter Tusick is the brand ambassador of blindness products at Humanware.
We strive to make products that will cover the entire spectrum of vision loss. So the product that I'm holding is called the Victor Reader Stream. And what the Victor Reader Stream is it is a portable book reading device. I always describe it in very simple terms as a Kindle or a Nook for a blind person. So it is a way for somebody who cannot, read printed materials to consume digital content, whether that be, electronic textbooks, audio books, podcasts, internet radio, various files that can be placed on SD cards, so maybe a Microsoft Word document or a text file or a PDF of some sort, and then also gives the user the ability to record what's going on around them. So it's a way to consume digital content on a device that doesn't require a touchscreen. It is about the size of a cell phone. There is a numeric keypad, so if you think of your standard 12-key numeric keypad, above the numeric keypad you will have 3 buttons from left to right: a square, a circle, and a diamond. The square button is what's called the go-to key. So if you're in a book and you want to go to page 26 or go to a particular point in time in a music file, that's what that key will do. The middle button will move you between what is saved on your SD card or your offline bookshelves and what is online or your wireless content. So that could be your books from CNIB or your podcasts. And then the diamond-shaped button is your bookmark key. So if you're reading something and you want to place a bookmark, you can always do that. And you can go to bookmarks and things. Below the numeric keypad, there's an oval-shaped button, which is your sleep timer. The sleep timer is going to be able to be set, and going to let you fall asleep to your favorite book. And below that, you'll have 3 buttons across the very bottom, underneath that oval-shaped button, and that would be your fast forward, play, pause, and rewind. On the right-facing edge, there is a line-in jack, and there is also a push-to-record button, so a one-touch record button. One of the nicest things about this device is we talk a lot about reading and books and things, but when we get a book, it can be very difficult to navigate that book, right? If for someone who's blind or visually impaired, we get this massive file, and they'll say, here's your digital book. And we'll say, okay. The nice thing about using something like a Victor Reader Stream is we can quickly get to parts of that book that we want to, or we can move through those navigable elements. We can download directly from using Wi-Fi, just directly to the device, and we can quickly and easily move through all of the different types of media, navigate them with ease. It's not swiping 15 times to find a button on our iPhones or trying to master a certain app. It's very uniform. And it really lets us work with fluidity. It lets us work with the device in a very simple way, easy navigation, and I think if one thing stands out to me, it's the wireless connectivity, so the ability to download directly. I've had users who are in their late 80s, in their mid-90s, all the way down to 6-year-olds using this product. There's a gentleman who I've worked with who was a TV broadcaster, and he was a news broadcaster, he was a news anchor, and he was very, 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 depressed over his kind of imminent vision loss. And his biggest concern was he wanted to be able to read his newspapers every day. And he was, when I first met him, he's going through this process, and he said, I don't know what to do. He could not read print in any way, shape, or form. His macular degeneration had gotten to that point. And I showed him, and he was very apprehensive about using a piece of technology like the stream. And within 3 weeks, I showed him how to use it. We trained for a little bit of time. Within 3 weeks, he was reading all sorts of, he was reading the Associated Press and kind of cruising through all sorts of papers. And it was amazing. He was reborn. It was very, very cool. Because again, it gave him that independence that he thought he had lost.
Coming up next on AMI Inside.
Now, this is where self-compassion is and can be a much more helpful approach.
AMI Inside will return. This is AMI Inside.
Welcome back to the CNIB Braille Conference.
I had normal sight or full vision until I was 8.
Marie-Claire Billick is a Paralympic double gold medalist in swimming.
Over the years, my sight has continued to deteriorate, and there was this funny incident when I realized, my vision has changed again. And basically, I was walking down the street, and I had my cane at that point, and I came to the corner, and I knew I was going to be crossing, and I was looking for the crosswalk button. And I reached out, and I pressed it, and I actually pressed somebody's belly button.
Billick has published research on the eating habits of people living with blindness and low vision.
I'm particularly interested in strengthening the individual body, mind, spirit, and social, understanding how vision loss and blindness affects that part of us, and then using the latest research, neurobiological, psychological, sociological, to strengthen us. Because the stronger we are, the more able we're going to be able to lead the flourishing and meaningful lives that we all desire and deserve. Recently, I came across some research on self-esteem versus self-compassion. Here in North America, we tend to get our self-esteem by being better than average. We think of ourselves as being good if we can compare ourselves to others and say, okay, I'm better than that other person. Therefore, I can feel good about myself. And so the problem with that is that, and here's a question for some math numbers people, can we all be better than average? No. And so it can be difficult for us to, feel good about ourselves when we are average or, heaven forbid, struggling or below average. And so my theory or my guess is that sometimes if we are, our self-esteem, our self-worth is contingent on this idea of being as good as or better than or close to others, then it's very difficult to say, I struggle with this, or this is difficult for me, because it's a real assault, I guess, on our sense of self-esteem, our sense of self-worth. Of course, the problem with that is, if we don't understand a challenge that we're facing, we can't, kind of be vulnerable about it and say, okay, this is a challenge, how can I move forward in this? So then we kind of get stuck. And we get defensive, and we can tend to sort of complain or blame others for things when they're not going well. And I'm sure you've all encountered people who feel uncomfortable about themselves, and so then they get defensive and angry towards others because it's too uncomfortable, it's too threatening to our self-esteem to say, I'm struggling with this. Now, this is where self-compassion is and can be a much more helpful approach. So self-compassion is not a way of assessing ourselves or judging ourselves. It's a way of relating to ourselves. And it's essentially, self-compassion has 3 components. One is that we treat ourselves the way we treat other people. With kindness and encouragement and compassion and patience.
Oftentimes we can be our own worst critic. We can self-talk and say to ourselves all sorts of critical, negative things that we would never say to another person. So that's the first part, being kind and gentle with ourselves. The second component of self-compassion is finding our common humanity. So where self-esteem requires us to sort of compare ourselves and find where we're different or better than others, self-compassion looks for how we're the same. And globally, around the world, the one thing that brings all human beings together is that we're all imperfect and we all have imperfect lives. Life is a good thing, but it often involves struggle. And it can involve pain and challenges. And where self-esteem would say, oh, I'm having this challenge and this is a bad thing and I shouldn't be having this and other people have better lives than me and this sucks and whatever. Self-compassion says, wow, okay, I'm going through this struggle and everybody struggles and it's okay and I can reach out to others and be with others in my struggle and find a way forward. And then the third component to self-compassion is mindfulness. So mindfulness is basically being aware of what you're thinking. So it's being able to step back and observe yourself in the present moment. So when you're in a situation, and let's say you're learning Braille. You're learning Braille and it's difficult and it's challenging, but you can observe yourself getting into maybe a bit of a difficult mental space. You can say, oh, I'm starting to feel discouraged. Oh, I'm starting to tell myself that I'm not good at this, that I'm bad. Being mindful is being able to catch yourself in that and be aware of that, and then circle around to that first step again and start to be kind and compassionate with ourselves and gentle and say, hey, this is tough, but you can do it, and so on. Why are we self-critical? Why do we kind of give ourselves the 40 lashes, And oftentimes people think that unless I'm really hard on myself and give myself a big kick in the butt, I'm gonna be lazy and I'm not gonna be motivated. And actually the research shows that the exact opposite. When we really beat up on ourselves, it actually puts our minds and our neurophysiology into a state that sort of shuts down our learning. Just listen to this mantra. You are enough. You have inherent dignity and worth. You don't have to grow to become a better person, to become a more worthy person. You deserve to grow because you're already worth it. You are enough.
The Braille Conference is all about empowering its attendees, and the CNIB Foundation is determined to remove the barriers that people with vision loss face every day. Vice President Angela Bonfanti.
CNIB's foundation is striving towards true equality, universal accessibility, and absolute inclusion for people with sight loss. I'm here to let you know today that we are already changing what it is to be blind today. We've just only gotten started.
Producers, Randy Urban, Christian Urban. Videographer, Saber Walker. Editors, Randy Urban, Christian Urban, Maryam Bakhtiar. Narrator, Melissa Keith. Post-sound mixer, John Bartel. Integrated described video specialist, Emily Harding. Graphics, Mike Smith. Production supervisor, Janice Sivitilli. Director, production, Cara. Director programming, Brian Perdue. Vice President, Programming and Production, John Melville. President and CEO, David Errington. Copyright 2018, Accessible Media, Inc.